Okay, so we've introduced this idea, right, that we have uncle in place, and this uncle, went through that decision process in order to commit crime. So when we think more about choice theories, where we believe people are making a choice to commit crime, what do we do to prevent it, right? Because it's one thing to know why someone commits crime. So we study crime, we study those patterns, what is, and then, we develop explanations for it, right? And that's really what the core idea of any kind of given theory is to develop an explanation for why something exists in the world, right? To really take a moment to stop and pause and figure out what's going on. It's, one, maybe it's kind of fun. You can like talk about with your friends and family, neighbors and whatever, to see what they can come up with. But the real goal then is to develop policy based off of these explanations, and to curb a behavior. So if we can develop a good explanation and one that is true, one that is accurate, and we are able to understand the nuances behind that decision-making process, then one can develop a policy to correct it. And so in the case of like a choice theory then, the goal then is to prevent crime, right? Because ultimately what we want is to, prevent crime from ever happening, right? Because that's better than the crime happening at all. Because if you can get it before it becomes too big, then that's pretty okay, right? So the way that we do this from a choice theory perspective is, we usually find ways that are going to affect people in general. So send a message to, a population. So like if we communicate, maybe perhaps there are harsh sentences for a crime, and communicate the consequences of that, maybe that will lead to less crime after all. There are also instances where we want to have a specific deterrent where we prevent an individual from committing more crime. So let's think about this for a second in a case of Glenn here, right? So let's assume for a second that he got caught, right? He says he didn't. We'll believe him because why not, right? So if we think about, if he was ended up being caught, right? He would go into a court. Hey, there's something like that. I really probably should turn off my email here, but whatever. So the court, judge is coming up, and we have Glenn sitting here. Gotta have this right here. And issues a sentence, right? A prison sentence. Given the, high profile kind of job that would come in, probably get, prison of some kind because we have severe destruction of property. We threatened life. So the prison sentence is really going to be like, hey, teach you a lesson to not commit crime again. And also, if we have it publicized enough, signal that this behavior won't be accepted to other people in the population. So that's the ultimate goal here then. In other ways that we try to do it, right, when we think about this decision-making process. So when we think, decision to commit crime, beyond, the relative, obviously there's the value of committing crime. There is, the cons in terms of like sentences and things like that. Maybe there are family considerations. You're worried about your reputation, or, loss of friendships and so on. So maybe that all comes in. Maybe it's the something else that goes on, whatever you can think of. But the other part you can think of is part of that is put into the effort required for the crime. Now, the thing is, right, even though we may think about crime as relatively easy, depending on what it is, it's really hard. If you think about, sometimes you think about like the novelty of delivery pizza, right? There's something about delivery pizza that it like encourages you to like get it delivered for some reason, right? Like I don't eat out very often. When I do, if it's something like Chipotle, I'm more than happy to go get Chipotle. I'm more than happy to go to Mickey D's and get a bacon McGriddle if that's what I want. I know I have the option for Grubhub or Postmates or something like that, or Uber Eats, and they can deliver it to me. But for some reason, I'm like, nah, not on that. I'm gonna pass. But for something about pizza, right? I'm like, nah, I don't want to go get it. That's lame. I'm gonna carry out, or I'm gonna get a delivery. Point is, right, is that there is this effort that has to be made. That I have to get up, put pants on, go to the pizza place, and the same kind of thing. That effort, serves as a deterrent. So when we think about like crime policy stuff or how we prevent people from doing that, there are things where we, make it harder to get an acquisition. Maybe that's putting cameras in. Sorry, my cursor was sloppy today. Maybe it's making it harder. We're putting cameras in. We're putting bars on the door, right? Maybe we allocate police to high crime areas to maybe prevent them from doing crime in the future. Maybe it is, we create something where we communicate sentences. So maybe it'd be relatively easy to do, but the punishment is disproportionate to the action. So it's not like really like worth, worth the cost that would be in place. All these are examples of policy measures directed at changing people's minds and their decision-making process. So with that said, we'll leave this here and we'll continue in the next